Architecture school might seem like a bad idea, and I did a whole video about why architecture school is definitely not for everyone. And yet, here I am, 7 years later. You know, architecture school is not for the weak. It is a really hard subject to study. It takes forever to get qualifications, it costs money, and all those things are still worth it. Hi, my name is Sara. I am an architectural assistant here in Wrocław, Poland, but I did my undergrad in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and then did my master's in Stockholm, Sweden. And now here I am, 7 years later into architecture school and my career. And what is it about architecture that makes me stay, even though it's really hard? In this video, I'm going to list 5 things that makes me commit to architecture. Number one, and something that I find is most valuable in all sides of my life, is learning how to take criticism and feedback. Architecture school is one of the most cutthroat industries to get into because every week, every month, every project that you do is gonna get deconstructed, criticized, analyzed, and constantly pushed to the limits, which will really test you, not only your building. A lot of architecture schools, including the ones that I attended, are structured in course-based programs. And what that means is that you're constantly developing projects, designs, and solutions to problems that are given throughout your course. You'll have meetings with teachers, with tutors, and their role is really talking with you and having this discussion about the project. And what ends up happening is that in order to improve your project, you will have to hear some hard truths. And that has really impacted all parts of my life because I have learned, thanks to architecture and architecture school, that whatever I produce is not really an extension of me. It's something that we're improving together with the teacher, tutor, or whoever's giving the feedback. Later in career, I see that every day with colleagues giving each other feedback and really pushing the projects to the full potential without getting offended, discouraged, or demotivated because of hearing something that can be perceived as negative. This also extends to family relationships, friendships, and really any part of my life. And I say this again and again, it has really changed my life. This is no news to you probably, but architecture is the perfect blend of a technical and creative field. Every day you have to do solutions that will deal with construction physics, that will deal with technical aspects of a building, about energy efficiency, ecology, but also about atmosphere and feelings and materials and color schemes and visuals. It's a really great blend for people that love both worlds and want to continue to grow in both analytical mindset with very logical solutions, but also developing their creative skills. Number 3 is definitely the way that you get to leave a mark. And I know it sounds very cliche and cheesy, but it's very, very true. I feel a lot of architects and a lot of architecture students go into architecture for a multitude of reasons. However, one that keeps coming back is the fact that, you know, life is short and buildings' lifespan are usually longer than your own. It is a great example of contributing something of your own work into the greater good. When you think about it, if you're in the residential niche, you're creating houses for people, you're creating homes, you're creating places where people spend a lot of time, and it really impacts other people's lives. If you're interested in designing hospitals, you're creating spaces where people get lots of medical attention. You're creating spaces that solve problems on the daily, that work around the staff and for the staff. It's a very deep concept, but also so true. It is an amazing way to really create impact in other people's lives in a positive way. And just like a lot of industries, architecture is definitely about innovation. And when you see that you can constantly learn and never stop growing your skill set that can help other people, I think it's really inspiring and something that keeps you going. Number 4 is patience. Architecture school teaches you patience and a whole different way of looking at the world. Whether you have a more artistic background in your architectural development and you love to sketch, or making models, or even if you're more of a digital architect and you work in 3D modeling or creating floor plans only in computer programs, then you'll know that architecture will force you to slow down and definitely be patient. This is a skill that you learn along the way, and you'll definitely feel the benefit of it because you will have to deal with computer crashes, you'll have to deal with models being destroyed, you'll have to deal with drawings that are just not going your way, and all of this creates a very different resilience and mindset in your daily life. And that patience also translates into the way you see the world. When you sketch in architecture, or actually just any art that you draw, you will definitely slow down and observe the world around you in a whole different way. If you're drawing still art, suddenly you're seeing shapes and geometries, not an apple in a bottle standing on the table. And I think that is really special because you notice the kind of magic that happens on the daily, and you really start understanding concepts of not only architecture, but art, philosophy, nature, as well as science in a whole different view. And of course, you'll never look at a building the same. Let me tell you, my friends always make fun of me when I'm taking a picture of a gutter. Like a literal gutter, okay? I am looking at the windowsills. I'm looking at that door handle, okay? I am drooling over a detail of a window. And it is what it is. You just start to appreciate the little things, the details. Whether it is a huge mansion or a temporary installation, you will notice how things are made. You'll start thinking, I wonder what material they used as insulation. You'll start thinking, wait a second, I wonder where they source their wood and paint. It's a little crazy the thoughts you start to observe in your mind after literal 7 years in architecture, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I really wouldn't, because no matter where you go, you start to see the differences in architecture and how the culture of a certain country influences it. And you notice also what materials are local, so what kind of trees grow nearby, what kind of material they use for fenestration, what kind of materials do they use for plating. Like, it's so interesting. And you just get to know the world from such a historical, artsy, and quite philosophical point of view that it just makes things more magical, and the mundane is super interesting. And I think all of those points come to the fifth one, which is it is such a varied industry. You can do so much, not only within architecture, but also outside of architecture with the skills that you already have. Architecture school is one of those interdisciplinary places full of people that have incredible ideas, insane motivation, and honestly, those are the people that usually are the change makers. I have felt so inspired going to architecture school. Of course, there were days where I really didn't want to be there because I was tired, I was running behind, deadlines were approaching. We're not going to talk about it right now. We can have a whole other video that you can watch another time about the struggles of architecture school. But I really felt like I belonged in architecture school because of how varied everything was. Because I could learn history, but also math, but also a little bit of physics, a little bit of construction. You can be a jack of all trades and just enjoy all aspects of this very complex industry. And what that also allows you to do, that after architecture school, you can do so much with that degree, not even within the architectural world. If you're not set on being an architect and you don't really want to do a licensed chartered title, that is perfectly fine. There are so many design, director, or leadership roles that you can do with the skills you learn along the way. You learn so many different programs to work in. You learn how to draw, how to observe, how to work with people. You learn how to learn because there's a lot of independence within architecture school. You learn how to design, and not only architecture, but spaces, communities, structures, urban planning. There's so many different things you can do. So architecture school has a very special place in my heart. Of course, now I've already finished both stages of architecture school, but it will always be one of those chapters in my life that I'll just never forget, that I think I've grown the most in. Architecture school really allows you later to pick your niche or to remain just like a generalist, as I would call it. And I think that's the kind of perfect career. And I'm really excited for the people that are picking architecture this year even and thinking about becoming an architect. It's a journey full of growth, full of change, full of realizations, but all of this is very, very needed for a person to achieve their full potential and their full worldview. That's gonna be all from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, leave them back down below and subscribe. Why not? Honestly, I dare you to subscribe. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!